Good afternoon. Happy Wednesday. Thank you for joining me. I'm your host, Sharifah Hardie, and you are tuning in to Ask Sharifah Videocast. As always, I have a very special guest for you today. But before I bring in our guest, I'm going to ask you to do what I always ask you to do. And that's to go ahead and share this interview, because friends don't let friends miss out on Ask Sharifah. Yes. Why? Because I bring you the best people in town. And today's guest is Carla Cohen. And Carla is amazing. She's passionate about teaching others about how to improve their lives. So we're going to bring her on. And while we do that, just know that if you have any questions or comments, please feel free to ask your questions or comments in the comments section. Good afternoon, Carla. Thank you for joining us. How are you today?
I'm good, Sharifah. Thanks for having me. I'm pretty excited about us finally getting to do this. So,
yes, I'm excited as well. And I'm going to have some fun today, mainly because you can see I'm in a fun mood and I'm channeling the fun energy, and I don't know why, but I feel fun. So I normally wouldn't say this, but I'm going to say this. I went to tag you yesterday in the image that I always share promoting the guest, and I typed in Carla and nothing happened. And I'm like, okay, I know we're friends. And I typed it again. I'm like, maybe it's the name, and nothing. And then I found you. And I'm like, no. And I sent you a friend request and you accepted it. And then I was able to tag you. But the reason I wanted to share that and why that was so important is you're one of those people that I've known for years that's been around, and most of the people, I only know them by Facebook. So this was a difference for me because I know you offline and your personality and all the things that you do to help. So I just wanted to share that, like, oh my God, wow, we're really just now getting a chance to connect.
this is great. Yeah, it's awesome. Yeah, it's true. A lot of people you meet on Facebook and you never really meet them, or you don't really get a sense of them. And it is different. We met each other quite a while back originally, and I'm happy to be able to dive in a little bit deeper with you today. So thank you for friending me. And I know sometimes people say I don't know, some people find me in the most bizarre ways, and some people say, well, I can't find you, where are you? So I think it's Carla Cohen Lifestyle now is what it says if you go on Facebook, and for other people who want to be friends. So come on down.
Yes. And it's interesting because you and I both we meet. I don't know if you're a member, I'm a member, so I don't want to assume, of the Long Beach Holistic Chamber of Commerce.
Oh, yeah.
Yes. And I love the interaction there. And I love how you're always helping people. You're always willing to help. But that's one of the things that you do. So I'm rambling today. Told you I'm in the fun mood. When I get in these moods, I don't know what I'm going to say. So let me stop talking. Tell us a little bit about you and what you do.
Okay, well, the thing, I actually love helping people heal naturally. Just a little bit about my backstory was I was in a very high position in the entertainment industry that I worked very hard to get. And eventually I got really sick. And my body just basically told me I had to quit, even though, I didn't really want to, but it's just like I was to the point where I was falling asleep every day at the job. So I had a constant fever. I had an elevated white blood cell count, and I went through every doctor's test and every kind of doctor for about 2 years. And they were just starting to come out with the idea of Epstein-Barr and chronic fatigue syndrome, but they really didn't know what was going on with me. And I'd done a lot of travel. I had traveled in some pretty exotic places, so they didn't know if I picked up something, when abroad. So they basically told me, look, we don't know what to do for you. So we're going to you're depressed. So we'll give you an antidepressant. And, I'm one of those people that I took one pill and I felt so depressed from the antidepressant. I threw the rest of them out, and I said, whatever my way is, this is not it. And, the universe has to show me something else. And
well, let me just ask a question. And that's very interesting. And I just thank you for sharing that. And the reason I say that is because I personally am someone who does not believe in illness. I don't believe in illness in any form or fashion. I don't believe in illness, mental illness, any type of illness. I believe that at the root of every illness is stress, that the body is in stress. And then if you remove or alleviate the stress, then the body will heal itself, or has the ability to heal itself. Now, the reason I bring this up is because people have said that, okay, but you still might have to take medicine. And I've always said, no matter what illness presented itself, if I had to take medicine, I couldn't do it. I'm not one of those people that can take medicine. I might take it for a day, and then they're like, this is the life-saving pill you have to take. And I'm like, okay, but by 2 or 3 days later, I know me, you know what I mean? Know thyself. And I know that I wouldn't continue to take it.
Yeah, well, I'm in the same boat, although my, how do I say this? My orientation, after all these years now, I mean, that whole experience brought me into alternative healing. And so since then I studied with shaman and healers, and I studied sports medicine and nutrition. So, and I bring all of that, wealth into what I do now, not just for my clients, but for me as well, right? But I believe that, our body is our biography. It stores every single memory, everything that, even things that we don't register as a trauma, is a trauma on some level in the emotional body. So we get these trapped emotions in the physiology, in the cellular tissue. And one of the things I discovered as I started to try to heal myself and learned about healing was that I had this ability to read people's tissue. So I started to utilize that more. And what I would find is that people had these memories that they didn't really think were that significant. And that was really causing the problem. So I agree. I feel like everything that we have, that we unfortunately, Western thinking is take a pill, and make it.
Yes.
We're looking for something
There's a pill for that.
Yeah, very expedient. We want a Band-Aid, we don't want to have to, and really what I do, is I look for people who are willing to dive a little bit deeper and really want to make a change, and they aren't necessarily concerned about where that might take them, because sometimes it can lead to a change in what you do for a living.
Right.
How you express yourself. What's your relationship with your partner, if you have a partner, or even your children or your siblings. So people make big, deep changes a lot of times as a result, and sometimes it might be something more simple. It's like, oh yeah, we can do that in a couple of sessions together. So, but yeah, I agree. You made me think of a story when I used to, one of the things I was very immersed in was, and people don't really know what this is, but it was called rebirthing. And rebirthing in the days when I was studying it, and I used to give sessions in it, was helping people clear the trauma that they were storing in their bodies from their birth through the breath. And one of my teachers was Sandra Ray, and she was an amazing woman. I think she's still around. I haven't been in touch with her for a long time, but Sandra said, she told the story of a person who came in and said they were bipolar. And, and they wanted to warn her before they went into a session. And she said, not in my presence, you're not.
I love that. I love that. I definitely love that. I mean, I get it. It's something that I would say. Like, I'm not accepting that diagnosis at all. So you've accepted it, but I'm not. So one of the things that you mentioned is your sessions. Describe to us, take us through the type of session or what it's like to have a session with you, Carla.
Well, there's a couple of different things I do. So depending on what's going on with the person, it might be as simple as us doing some coaching sessions together where I help you tune into what's going on in your body and give you some tools. I'm also working more into, this is kind of interesting, how do I say it? It's kind of a brain profiling, kind of moving more into that direction. But another thing that I do is say we're not, you might need more than coaching, or you're really attracted to the fact that I do body work, because I kind of get people from the corporate people want more, sometimes corporate people and entrepreneurs will prefer the coaching thing, but maybe other people that I just run into out at an event want to come in for body work. So again, depending upon what's going on with them, I might do a session that's called Essential Harmony.
Okay.
And with that, I'm literally using that ability to read the tissue. It's a very gentle touch. But then what happens is you literally start to not be able to tell the difference between me and you. And I really can, it's like reading a book for me and I'm literally having a conversation with your tissue in an amazing way. And there's so much I can learn by just simply putting my hands on you. And the tissue will take me literally into the body, or it'll kick me out depending upon what it wants to deal with. An interesting experience with that was a gentleman who came to me with long-term back problems. And he was very frustrated. He's a major manager in the music business. And so I went to work on him, and I had the strangest image. I think it was about the second or third session. I'm like, the feeling that I got, or the energy and the vision and the smell, because it all comes to me, it was like he had been in a wooden box, almost like, I don't want to say the word coffin, but that's kind of what it felt like he was really trapped in there. And I had no idea how to interpret that, what I was picking up. So all I did was communicate what I was feeling. And I said, are your parents still alive? He said, yes. I said, would you do me a favor? Would you ask your parents if they have any recollection of ever putting you like in a wooden box or something when you were a kid, or maybe you had some association with that? He goes, yes. Because I felt like that was so significant, or it wouldn't have shown up. And even when my hands were on him, things started, moving in his body, like in ways that hadn't moved before. So he eventually did ask his parents, and it turned out they were too poor to have a bassinet, and they kept him in the top drawer for the first
Oh, wow.
And so once that came out, believe it or not, his back pain that he had suffered with for 12 years completely cleared up. So he was still holding on to being contained, and it wasn't allowing him, even though he felt like he could move pretty good, there was a part of his tissue that was stuck in the past. So that's one kind of work.
Wow, and that's interesting. I love it. And I just want to thank everyone for tuning in. If you're watching, thank you, Ashika, for your comment. Ashika says, that's fascinating. So thank you to Ashika.
Thank you, Ashika. Yeah, so that's one avenue, and it's not just for physical stuff. It can be for emotional things, or I've had people come in. I had one woman who said, look, I need income. I don't know, can you do anything to help me increase my income? I don't know, we can try, So with her, I chose to do a different kind of work that I do, which is called Raindrop, which is basically is a blend of Lakota Indian, Tibetan healing, Oriental medicine, Oriental acupressure, and massage, and essential oils. And I targeted her specific issue. It was really fun. And it's kind of like part spa and part therapy. But anyway, so she writes me an email about a month later, or no, maybe it was a Facebook thing. She sent me a message, and she said, I just want you to know, I went up $1,000 this month.
Oh, wow.
I said, that's great. Now I should have you do that on me.
Do that on me. Let's go work on Sharifah Hardie. I like that as well.
So that's another thing, another kind of work I do. So those are the main forms of body work. But then, like I said, there's coaching also that I do.
What type of coaching?
So the coaching is really targeting people who are feeling like, the best way I can say it is, when you're out there smiling and you don't really mean it.
Yeah.
And, and people keep asking you, how are you? And you're, you just really don't want them to dive in, So I basically help people start to break past that veneer and get past the trappings of the exterior, stuff like I look good and I got my, spike heels and all that. But inside, I'm not, I know there's something wrong, or it doesn't feel right, or I have a sense that I should be doing more. So I will take people from that place and take them all the way through to the point where they feel like they're not flying off the handle for no reason anymore. They really mean it when they smile, They're able to sleep better, and basically just taking them through all the different components that take them out of integrity with their values and their passion and their purpose, and getting them back on track where they're divinely meant to be, right?
Yes, but one of the things that you mentioned was interesting to me is, my focus is always on entrepreneurs. How can I help the entrepreneur and the small business owner? And I had a guest a few months ago who was talking about how entrepreneurs have a suicide rate that's about 4 or 5 times higher than anyone else. Is because our life can be very stressful and we feel always that we're in it alone. So with your coaching, how is it that you help entrepreneurs?
Well, so with entrepreneurs, a lot of times they get into this, and thank you, that's such a great question, Sharifah. People told me what a great interviewer you are.
Oh, thank you. I do try. I mean, I'm just inquisitive. Like, I want to help. I want to know, how can we help people?
Yeah, so, well, I want to say a couple things about that, what you said, because there were 2 points that brought to mind. First, also, I work a lot with the military, so suicide rates are super high also in the military. I actually just worked with the Los Angeles Air Force Base yesterday training the troops, which was really very honored to come in and, be the woman who does this for them. But when I'm working with an entrepreneur, a lot of times what's going on from my experience is that they're into the striver mode. Especially female entrepreneurs, just like when I was in the film industry, we always think we have to do it better, harder, outdo, because there's that sense of oppression that is still somehow in our cellular DNA, whether we're conscious of it or not. Women are I love men, and I have a great, very supportive husband. So I don't mean this as anything other than, we just have this something within us that makes us feel we still have to prove ourselves. And we do in some cases. There's still a lot of unconscious lids out there on everything that we do. Mm-hmm. So what I do is I will actually drill down with that woman who's, maybe she's not an entrepreneur yet. Maybe she's a mom who walked away from a corporate career to have children, and she can't find her way back to, nobody's going to hire me, and, or they don't feel they can get hired.
Carla, I just wanted to say that just mentioning that, you literally, if you can tap into my energy, like, you almost made me cry, because everything that I'm doing from the business, now I'm running for Long Beach City Council. But when people ask me my why, because that's the thing, what's your why? Why do you do everything that I've done? I started because I wanted to be a stay-at-home mom. When I built my website in 1994, it was because I wanted to be a stay-at-home mom. Everything I do is because I want to show my children that you can be successful, you can succeed. So it's the mom that's driving me more than any material thing, any more than I want to have a certain title. It's just that I want to be this example for my kids.
Oh yeah, I totally felt that in my body, by the way. So yeah, when I was talking about, I could feel the electricity going around between us. But yeah, because it is, and definitely the moms go through this, but people, it's not necessarily a mom. It could be just a female who, it's like that unconscious conditioning that keeps us from fully expressing, our gifts out to, the planet. And, Sharifah, you're an awesome example, from what I can see, all the different things that you got your fingers into, and it's a lot. And, you're almost like superhuman here. Female.
Thank you. Don't do too much.
But it is, and we don't all have to be like you, be on that level that you've taken it to. You've really, and I've watched you, over time, like, come out like this. It's like baby steps, so when I work with somebody, we're taking more baby steps. We'll go, as far as you want to go, but all of the stuff, a lot of it is, you don't even realize the limitations that you put. I don't want to say you, I'm going to say most people don't realize the level of limitations that they're putting on themselves on a daily basis from moment to moment. I just did a presentation for this international summit. And one of the things I was talking about was mind shifting, because I'm really into this whole thing about neuroplasticity in the brain, and I can get all geeky on this, but quantum physics and, how we change our brain. But what I was, we have like 10,000 thoughts per minute in our mind. And 80% of those are negative, 80%, 90% are repetitive. That's really scary, right? Because if it's repetitive, not a good thing, and it's, and that negative thing, it takes a lot of, reinforcement to take you out of that into the place where you should be. And we all, by our divine right here, we were put here to give a gift to somebody else. We were put here because, well, okay, it's my belief that we were put here to enrich the life of somebody else, maybe a lot of somebody else's, right?
Yes.
So if you're holding yourself back with your negative thoughts, then, or your negative beliefs that you're not even conscious of, then you're really limiting what you could be doing for the planet and all the things that you could be, and that gives you back too, right? Because every time you help somebody else lift up, it lifts you.
No, I believe that, because that's one of the things that I always say and talk about, is that I do everything that I do for other people. It's for them. I enjoy my life, but it's to be of service to mankind. Because if I didn't do what I'm doing, it would be a disservice to people who need that type of assistance. So I think that's in everything, not just what, I don't look at it like it's just what I'm doing. Everybody, if you're doing what your gift is, then you're being of service to mankind.
Right. Exactly. And, and there's a lot of ways that can express itself, and then that actually brought up another thought. So some people, they get into service for their spiritual organization.
Yes.
And that's perfectly good too. But the problem sometimes with that is it can be limiting, because if that becomes the only place where you think you do service, service is doing the random, you've seen the bumper stickers, random act of kindness,
Yes.
To me, it's a way of being. It's not, I only do it here. You know what I mean? So I was out, I recently had, about a year ago, I had a couple of, right near each other, 2 bicycle accidents.
Oh, wow. I'm sorry to hear that.
Well, it's okay, and it was a little longer process to heal. And I actually, it was, this sounds awful, but with everything, there's always the benefit, right? And so part of the benefit for me was not that I'm not compassionate, but it made me more compassionate to people who are really struggling just to get up and walk those 2 steps, right? Because I was that person, right? My husband would be like, just point to it. I'll get it for you. Because he knew that it was just so painful for me to be up on my legs for a little bit. It was a pretty bad fall, 2 falls. So anyway, so I see this woman, I come out of the market, and there's this woman, and she's in the handicap spot, and she's got, and of course it's on a little bit of a hill, right? So her basket's trying to roll. She's got her walker with her 2 hands and with the little chair on it, in front of her. She's got her basket to her side that's trying to roll away with another little, like one of those hand carry baskets on top of it. And I can see she's about to have a meltdown, right? Because she can't balance it all. So I just ran over to her, and I said, can I take your cart for you? And, and oh my God, you'd think I gave her a Rolls Royce, you know what I mean?
Right.
And she was so, and I could feel you on this one too. She was so grateful, it just changed everything for her. And we underestimate the effort, the power of just that one little nice thing for somebody else. Like, let that person go in front of you in their car.
Yes. No, I do that because I always say whenever someone cuts me off, they're speeding or whatever, I always say, I guess that wherever they have to be is more important than where I have to be. And I let it go. I just release it because okay, you never know. You really never know what a person is going through, what they're doing. Maybe they had to get to the hospital. That's the weird thing about me. I come up with these scenarios of where they have to be, and it makes me feel better. And it doesn't, I don't have to be like, no, I have to get here. I say, no. You never know what's going on in their lives, and I just simply allow them to go.
Well, and plus sometimes that extra minute, like, where you were late getting somewhere, you're doing your best to be on time or whatever. And then, it could have potentially saved you from some kind of accident that you would have been in if you would have been there sooner. We just don't know. I mean, we all hear these stories every day. So I think that, I value my time. I value other people's time and energy, but, I do believe that we've got to do what we can to, it doesn't have to be big, but, it's awesome if we can get into our real purpose, but just to alleviate the suffering of another person in some way, And the biggest comment, the biggest feedback I get from my clients is, what they feel when they didn't realize that they could have that level of peace within themselves, just being. And that's really what, a lot of besides the letting go of pain or whatever the issue was, it's like, how important is it to you to have that place where you feel, that you're at peace, and it's not an effort to be there.
But what I loved about what you were sharing about you actually taking the steps to help the woman, I love that, because one of my favorite quotes is Edmund Burke: all that is necessary for evil to succeed is for good men to do nothing. And that's what I always keep in mind, is that the majority of the people in the world are good. I believe that with all my heart. I don't care what race, what belief, the majority of the people in the world are good. They want to do the right thing. And then you have that small percentage who's like, oh, let's do all this other stuff. And what happens is we don't step up as people all the time and say, let me help you. Let me help my neighbor. Let me stop this. And so when you just took the initiative to help someone else that you didn't have to, that you were not responsible for, and you just said, you know what would I want someone to do if I were in this situation? And you did that. And that's what I think was just so amazing.
Yeah, it was pretty, it was funny. It was just a moment, but it really, I felt that and saw on her face what little moment did for her, you just made me think of something else. So one of the things I teach is something called corporate Zen. I go into corporations and I teach them I teach breath work, mindful movement. I do guided meditation. And I work with essential oils sometimes in those situations. And there was a period where I worked with UCLA Ronald Reagan Hospital, and I worked with the doctors, the nurses, the patients, and their families to help them, just to give them that moment, right, in the hospital, because you know what hospitals are like. If you've ever just walked, it's anything but. I know the intention is to help people heal, but just try to get a couple hours sleep in a hospital, and or eat a meal that we would consider healthy. Most of us, that are, especially those of us in the holistic chamber that are aware of health and consciousness, and again, the random act of kindness, walking in and just saying, giving sometimes it was just sitting and listening to somebody. Just giving that space to be able to share and not feel like they were going to get diagnosed or analyzed as a result of what they shared, but help them find, help within the system there to try to find a solution to help them. So that was pretty fun too.
I think that's wonderful. And again, if you are just now tuning in, then you should have been here from the beginning, because we've been having a wonderful time. But with that said, if you are just now tuning in, I'm speaking with Carla Cohen. We're having an incredible conversation. Thank you to Maria for joining us, Dr. Sherilyn for joining us. Maureen Rogers says, good quote. I think she likes the Edmund Burke quote, but that's what I believe in. That's what I live by, because one of the things, my dad and we always have these deep conversations. And he says to me all the time, because I'm like, that makes me angry. And he was like, Sharifah, you shouldn't be angry. Don't be angry. You're not. And I'm like, Dad, I believe in righteous anger. I do. There's nothing, my dad in my entire life has been able to do to convince me against righteous anger. And I tell him, I believe that more people should be angry. I believe they don't have to, go off, but it's in the delivery. But when you see things happening, you should stand up. You should say something. You should say, this makes me mad. This makes me angry, or however you phrase it, but do something and stand up for other people. That's why I do what I do. I love to stand up for other people and to try to help other people live the life that they deserve or that they desire. And I see you do the same thing.
Yeah, and you made me think of something else, because I think anger, it can be a very useful tool. But what I find more common is that people who, there is a lot of hopelessness out there. People feeling like they don't have the strength anymore to be able to stand up and fight. partially because they've just been so beaten down by, the economics. They're just trying to survive, and it makes me very sad. I think that we as a society, because when you get people into that place, it's like I can work with a lot of those people and take them out of hopelessness into, yes, I can. But it comes from this place of just being beaten down. There's, they don't feel like they're being heard by the politicians. They're struggling economically. They're struggling just to put food on the table, or even to have some quality time. It's like go to work, come home, go to sleep, and start the whole thing all over again, for the next 5 days. So, and then spend the weekend catching up. And so I really like to support people in learning that there is another way out there, that they don't, like that there is the path of the entrepreneur, even though it has its, it has its limitations as well. At least, it gives you an option, and it can make you feel less powerless about what's going on the planet.
Yes, I definitely agree. Now, Carla, we are coming down to the last few minutes of the show. And what I like to do at the end of every show is just allow my guests the opportunity to speak directly to the people who are watching live, as well as in the archives, and to tell them what you want them to take away from your interview.
Wow. Okay. Well, I would love to see every single one of you live your full purpose, and have the energy and the health that you should have to be able to live your life and enjoy it and live your passion. I do have a coaching program if you're interested in learning more, or you want to contact me about what other kind of things I offer, the body work or whatever. Please feel free to reach out to me. The best email address is, we'll just use my oils. It's Carla Cohen, Carla at carlacohen.com. So CARLA Cohen.com. And you can ask me about, what are the different things that I have to offer. I am going to give away, I'm going to give a significant discount. Normally, just a one single coaching session with me is normally $200. And if you reach out to me today and we book a session, then I will give you, $99 off. So it'll be only $100, half price basically. So for Sharifah's listeners, so you just have to say I'm one of Sharifah's listeners and I'd like to know more. And we'll figure out what's the best thing and put in your phone number. But just moving forward, just know that you can make a difference. God put you on this planet. If you're an atheist, I'm sorry, but that's okay. I believe you were put here by spirit to live a life that's purposeful and contributes to the meaning and beauty of somebody else's life. And see what you can do just to uplift another person when you go out there today. If you take nothing else away from this interview, that's my wish for you today. So thank you for joining us.
That was so wonderful. And thank you for the offer. I'll be sure to include that in the post so everyone can see that they'll receive a $99 discount from you just because they tuned into the show. So I really appreciate that. And I really appreciate you. Thank you for being today's guest on Ask Sharifah Videocast. Thank you, Sharifah. Thanks for having me. It was an honor. You are so welcome. It's an honor for me. It's my privilege. And as always, I definitely have to thank everyone who tuned in. Thank you for watching. Thank you for sharing. Thank you for watching in the archives. I really appreciate you. But if you're interested in being a guest, watching more of my interviews, or for sponsorship opportunities, please visit the website at AskSharifah.com. Until then, everyone have a wonderful day. Bye now. Bye.